We're about to play a game, but not the kind you can win. This is Kokology, aka psychological strip poker. It's cute and it's fun, but it also has a habit of exposing your subconscious in ways you may not have initially signed up for. These aren't just a series of open-ended guided visualizations. They're also a bit of an imagination trap. So here's how it works. I will hand you a scenario with specific questions, and you let your brain cough up an answer, and then boom, your inner world just outed itself. Here's the only rule. You have to go with the first answer that pops up. Don't polish it, don't overthink it, don't try to be clever. If your brain says spider, or Gal Gadot, or rotting sandwich, that is your answer. That is the real you. The second you start editing, game over. I will be walking you through 5 mind movies. Some are deep, some are relatable, and some will probably make you sit back like, why did that just come up? The fun part is the shock, when you realize the offbeat thing that you just pictured actually reveals something much deeper about you. Small disclaimer, okay? This is not therapy. It's not, I repeat, it is not a clinical diagnosis. This is for unique insight into your mind and to have a good time, okay? So get comfy, put yourself somewhere quiet, take a breath in, let it out. Eyes closed if you want. Pretend you're about to binge a new TV series, only it's actually your own subconscious mind. Are you ready? Good. Scenario 1 is loading now, so here we go. Late one night, your phone vibrates with a new notification. System update available. But this one isn't from Apple or Android. The logo looks unfamiliar, almost alien. Against your better judgment, you tap download. The update runs instantly. When the phone reboots, the home screen wallpaper has changed. What image do you see? What is your new home screen wallpaper image? You scroll through your photos and you notice an album that you never created. Inside are hundreds of photos of you in places you've never been. Which picture of you disturbs you the most? Which picture? As you stare, the screen flickers and a short video autoplays. It's you speaking in your voice, but saying something you would never admit. What words come out of your mouth? What do you say that you would never admit? Finally, a notification appears. Your replacement is ready. Proceed with transfer. Do you press yes, no, or do you freeze? Yes, no, or freeze. Here's what your answers reveal about you. The new wallpaper is your contamination image, a projection of what your psyche believes is leaking into your life right now. The energy, emotion, or fear that is staining everything. What was your image? For example, if your wallpaper was replaced with vines or plant overgrowth, you may feel smothered by obligations, or a relationship or habit that seems too impossible to control. You're basically living inside your own emotional Jumanji. If the image was of a desert or dry, cracked ground, you might feel empty, lonely, or like you're running out of resources. A glitched screen means you feel that your identity is breaking down, and you're afraid people will see through the polished version of you. A repeated pattern, like an endless phase or spiral, signals overthinking or an obsessive loop. A blank white screen signifies numbness and a refusal to feel or acknowledge what's really going on. If the image was beautiful, that's aesthetic bleach. Something toxic or stressful is creeping in, but you're covering it up so you don't have to admit it. Now, the photo that disturbed you is the version of you that feels alien or unrecognizable. This is the you that you secretly fear might take over. Where the photo was taken shows where you fear being exposed, replaced, or erased. If the photo is in a public place, you are terrified your mask will slip and that people will finally see you as raw and insecure. If it was in a personal or intimate space like a bedroom, you fear your private flaws or desires will be discovered. There may be some anxiety that the real you isn't as admirable as the version that you show the world. If the photo of you is doing something wrong, this is a guilt fantasy. Some part of you feels bad for something even if you never act on it. You are afraid that your shame will end up on display. The words you double said are your repressed confession. The truth you won't let yourself say out loud. That thing you've been swallowing for years. Your shadow self just hijacked the mic and cut through the script you tell yourself every single day. And your transfer choice is your annihilation fantasy. If you said yes, you secretly long to be erased, remade, or freed from your own life. Surrender is much more appealing to you than you like to admit. If you said no, you're clinging desperately to your current identity, scared to let go and terrified of change, even if you're not exactly thriving right now. And if you froze, you live in denial and let time make your decisions for you. You pretend if you don't choose, nothing ends, but endings creep in anyway, usually when you're not ready. It's a sunny afternoon, and you wander into a tiny ice cream shop that, it smells like heaven. Sugar, waffle cones. Whew. You realize, man, you've been craving ice cream all day. You have the traditional ice cream flavors to choose from: chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Which flavor do you choose for your first scoop? The clerk leans over the counter and asks if you want a second scoop from the secret menu in the back. There's Rocky Road, espresso bean, birthday cake, or black sesame. Which flavor do you pick for your second scoop? Rocky Road, espresso bean, birthday cake, black sesame. Which one? As the clerk hands you your cone, you look around the shop. Who else is inside the shop with you? Just as you're about to taste the ice cream, you notice it's starting to melt faster than normal, and some of the ice cream drips down your hand. What do you do? What do you do when it drips down your hand? Very good. On the surface, it's just ice cream, but your cone just told on you. What you let yourself want, what you secretly crave, who still haunts you, and how you handle desire when it gets messy. The first flavor, is the person or type of relationship you admit to wanting. The version of desire that feels safe. For example, chocolate is passionate. It's a physical connection. You admit that you want sex and chemistry, but only if that looks socially acceptable. Vanilla is the steady, dependable partner. You want safety and predictability. Some call it boring, you call it peaceful. Strawberry, that sweet, tender romance. You want a visible, wholesome affair that everyone can see and applaud. Now, the second scoop is your forbidden longing, the one you don't admit. If you chose Rocky Road, you secretly crave chaos in love. You want those highs, the lows, the roller coaster that makes you feel alive. If you went with espresso, this is the forbidden crush. You are drawn to intensity, power dynamics, maybe even taboo attraction. Birthday cake is a regression fantasy. You want to be taken care of like a little kid again. No responsibility, just comfort. Or if you went with black sesame, this is unconventional desire. You're turned on by what's off limits. And no second scoop. You repress your hidden desires. You'd rather starve yourself of what you really want than risk exposing it. The other person in the shop is tied to an unfinished attachment, someone your psyche refuses to delete. If it's an ex, there's unresolved business here. It could be desire, maybe it's resentment, or the fantasy of winning them back. If it was a stranger, this signals your hunger for reinvention. You want a reset button, to be seen with no history attached. If it's a friend, you're measuring yourself against them, secretly comparing or competing. And if it's a friend who's not really a friend, you are tolerating people who drain you, stuck in dynamics you know aren't healthy. How you handled the melting ice cream shows what you do when longing gets messy. If you ate the ice cream quickly, you let craving take the wheel. When you want something, you pounce, even if it ends up ruining you. If you grabbed napkins, you manage your image. You still indulge, but in secret. You'd rather hide your desire than risk being judged. If you licked it off your hand, you turn mess into pleasure. You're not afraid to make it part of the experience. If you let the ice cream drip, 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 you dissociate. You stand back and watch the chaos of desire unfold. And if you just throw it out, you cut yourself off the moment things get too raw, revealing, or risky. You're at home minding your business when you notice your drinking glass on the counter. At first glance, it looks normal, but when you hold it up to the light, you see a thin crack running down the side. You realize you've been sipping from this glass for weeks without noticing the crack. What's your first reaction when you see that crack? You suddenly feel thirsty, so you fill the glass with water. Do you drink out of it right away, or do you wait to see if it holds? The crack begins to spread. Water starts dripping onto the counter. What do? Finally, the glass gives out completely. How do you throw it out? The cracked glass is every relationship you've ever tested for leaks. How you react to the crack, the spill, and the break is exactly how you treat red flags vulnerability, boundaries, and endings. Basically, you're all attachment style, but make it drinkware. Your initial reaction to the crack is how you deal with flaws, warning signs, and trust. If you downplayed it, you're the type who sees red flags and says, cute, I can work with that. Sometimes it's loyalty, usually it's self-betrayal. If you examine the crack, you're cautious. Receipts, analysis, endless pros and cons. This is smart, but you also risk paralysis analysis and missing the moment. Or, if your first impulse was to throw it away, you are ruthless about self-protection. One flaw, one betrayal, and it's done. That keeps you safe, but it also means you rarely see the beauty in things that aren't perfect, including people. Whether you drank the water or held back reveals your relationship to vulnerability. Drinking right away means you'd rather risk the fallout than miss the taste of connection. You lean in even when you know you might bleed. It can be brave, but it can also mean you're in denial. If you held back, this is hypervigilance. You don't let anyone meet you unguarded, not until you are 99% sure it won't blow up, and it still will. How you handle the leak demonstrates your empathy and your boundaries. If you tried to fix the glass, you're the unpaid therapist. You pour yourself into broken containers, hoping your love will glue people back together. But be real, sometimes you are building homes inside flood zones. If you let the water spill, that's detachment. You don't interfere or claim responsibility for someone else's mess. This is healthy until it turns into emotional ghosting. Not my mess is your motto. What you did when the glass finally broke is how you handle your endings. If you threw the glass away cleanly, you value closure and like to end things in a respectful way. If you hid the glass or swept it aside, you avoid direct conflict and would rather disappear than confront. And if you smashed the glass or destroyed it, you torch bridges, salt the earth, and dare anyone to rebuild. It's late at night, and your phone glitches. The lock screen flashes strange numbers before settling on a countdown timer. You don't know what it's counting down to, but your gut tells you that when it hits 0, something in your life will end forever. Now tell me, how much time is left on the countdown? As you watch the numbers decrease, a sudden sense of urgency flares up within you. What's the very first thing that occurs to you to do with the time that you have left? Just as you finish your thought, your phone buzzes once, a single notification. Who is it from? As you feel the inevitability of the timer running out, which emotion grows strongest inside you? And then the screen blinks. The final digit hits 0. What happens? Very good. Now, the countdown is your subconscious clock, a mirror of how you secretly believe time, aging, and endings are shaping your life. Every detail you imagined reflects the story you've been telling yourself about mortality and meaning. How much time you had left on the countdown reveals your internal expiration date. If it was days, minutes, or hours, you may be living like the clock has already run out, panicked, desperate, afraid youth and possibility have slipped through your hands. If you saw years, you may be cushioning yourself in denial, pretending that aging won't hit as hard as it will. The first thing that occurs to you to do with the time left is the ghost of what you've been neglecting. If you threw yourself into work or creating, you are scared of fading away, invisible. No mark, no legacy, just dust. If you chose love or intimacy, you are haunted by the thought of never being fully seen or desired, skin to soul. If you reached for family, your deepest fear is loss, that the people you anchor yourself to will disappear before you can hold them tight enough. If you wanted to escape, distract, party it away, you're scared of adulthood locking you into a version of yourself you don't want. And if you did nothing, just waited, that's not peace, it's burnout. The person who popped up in that notification is someone you secretly crave as your witness at the end. If it's an old crush or an ex, yeah, you don't actually want them gone. You want them choking on regret, wishing they hadn't fumbled. If it's your mom, your dad, or someone you always needed approval from, that's your shadow begging, even in the final moment, to be loved and validated. And if it's a total stranger, or worse, an enemy, that's your subconscious confession that sometimes fear, obsession, even forbidden attraction can hit harder than love. The emotion you felt at the timer running out reveals your raw truth about aging. If it was relief, you might be flirting with self-destruction. If it was terror, you're convinced your value drops the second time leaves a wrinkle on you. If you were calm, you want to stop performing and proving yourself and just give in. If it was regret, you've been stalling your real life and gambling on time that you don't actually believe that you have. What you pictured at zero is your worldview laid bare. If it was death, you believe life ending is the only guarantee. If it was a fresh start, you're not about confrontation. You're addicted to escape and reinvention. And if it was nothing, death doesn't scare you. Meaninglessness does. Now, I want you to imagine that it's late at night, and you're in a quiet house, completely alone. As you walk past a window, you notice that the curtains are open. Which room of the house are you in? Which room? Outside of this window, in the moonlight, there is someone standing perfectly still, looking directly at you. What's the first thing you do when you see them? You can't see their expression clearly, but you realize you know exactly who it is. Who is the person outside? The figure doesn't leave. They're still waiting, watching. Do you let them inside? Thank you. Here's what it reveals. The image of a quiet home at night represents your inner world when all distractions fall away. Being completely alone strips you down to your most unguarded state. This setting symbolizes the moment where your subconscious steps forward and the things you usually keep in the background have space to appear. What happens next in this silence reveals who or what you're really willing to let into the most private corners of yourself. The room you are in reflects where you feel the most psychologically vulnerable. For example, if you were in the bedroom, that is the innermost sanctum of the psyche. It's where you sleep, dream, and experience sheer vulnerability. It is also the space tied to sexuality, intimacy, and the unconscious mind. If your mind places you here, it often reveals an unresolved push-pull dynamic, the craving to be seen for who you truly are, and the fear of exposure or judgment when you're at your most defenseless. This choice can suggest a deep longing for emotional or erotic connection, but also shame, secrecy, or trauma around being observed in a private state. You may crave intimacy, but struggle with trust. Now, if you were in the kitchen, your subconscious might be grappling with how much of yourself you give to others, and whether your role as a provider, nurturer, or stabilizer has consumed parts of your individuality. You might feel guilt or pressure around family obligations, gender roles, or caretaking expectations. Or maybe you are in the living room, the stage of the self, where you wrestle with anxiety about reputation and approval. You might feel constantly observed, evaluated, or misunderstood by society, peers, or family members. This placement suggests your psyche feels pressure to maintain masks or roles. It often ties to imposter syndrome, fear of rejection, and image management. The bathroom is the one place where the body can't be edited or disguised. It's a space where shame and self-acceptance collide. It can point to shame around the body and secrecy, while simultaneously reflecting a deep longing to be accepted in the mess, or loved without performance and seen without disguise. And your first reaction when you see the person mirrors how you handle an intrusion into your inner world. Did you close the curtains? Then you're likely fiercely protective of your privacy and your boundaries. You'd rather shut people out than risk being exposed. Did you freeze and stare back at them? You feel a mix of curiosity and fear when confronted with vulnerability. You're drawn to the very things you resist. Maybe you moved closer or even opened the window. Your subconscious is magnetized to danger. You're more willing to embrace risk than you'd like to admit. If you retreated or called someone, you rely on external protection or validation when your defenses feel weak. You don't trust yourself to fully manage your fears alone. The person outside is the person your subconscious most wants slipping past your defenses. This is someone you want to see your raw, unguarded self. If it was a parent, a mentor, authority figure, your psyche has tangled intimacy with power and approval. It may not be a literal lust, but it is a dangerous hunger for validation. The forbidden thrill of wanting to be chosen, noticed, even dominated by them. If it was an ex, a crush, a lover, that door isn't shut no matter what you tell yourself. The fact that they're outside shows you still want them close enough to watch you, but not close enough to fully enter your life. You want the heat without the mess, the thrill without the commitment. And if it was a stranger, your subconscious is sick of the familiar. You are craving escape and maybe even danger. Someone to rip you out of who you've been. It's less about them and more about your desperate itch to be transformed. was an enemy or someone you fear, that's the most revealing of all. It means that this person has taken up prime real estate in your mind. The line between hate and fascination has blurred, and your psyche may even be flirting with attraction to their power over you. Did you let them inside? This is your subconscious decision on whether you're willing to integrate what they represent into your life. If you said yes, you are ready to embrace the risks, the taboos, or the desires that may come with them. It may indicate a subconscious readiness for transformation, intimacy, even confrontation. If you said no, you're not ready to face the consequences. You're protecting yourself, but you're also denying a part of yourself that you need to be acknowledged in order to grow. And that's a wrap on your field trip into the back rooms of your brain. Kokology isn't about getting the answers right. It's about the weird, random stuff your subconscious blurts out when it thinks no one's watching. And now you know a little more about the patterns that are running the show. Remember, this isn't